Charlie, you can warm up now, take a couple swings to get loose. Charlie, come back here and let me ask you a couple questions. How long have you been playing golf for?
This is my first year playing.
Awesome. All right. What are some things that you struggle with?
Chipping's not typically my strong suit.
All right.
Driver and 3-wood need a little bit of work.
All right.
5 iron's okay. 4 iron, not so much.
All right.
Other than that, not too bad.
Perfect.
Well,
why don't you grab? Let's grab an 8 iron. All right, and then take a couple swings with that for me. Do you tend to hit it pretty low?
Yeah.
All right.
You don't typically go too high.
Where do you feel like your weight is when you're setting up there?
My weight, I kind of just feels
on your toes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want you to move so the weight feels a little bit more like the weight's on the balls of your feet, so you're less.
My feet, so the toes.
Yeah, exactly, like that. And then set up there. Basically, I want you to bend your knees a little bit more. Feel like you're almost sitting down. Perfect. And let's make your stance a little bit wider. Perfect there, just outside shoulder height. And then we want the ball, that's perfect right there.
Yeah?
Yep. That's all right.
Feel that one.
Before we go any further, let's try and tee them up so we can make it a little bit easier to get them airborne.
Good iron height?
Yeah, that's perfect right there. So Charlie's just teeing it up here, so it's a little bit easier for him to get it airborne, and we don't have to worry about any turf interaction.
Just like that?
Perfect, yeah. Same thing there. So remember, weight on the balls of your feet, stance a little bit wider. Perfect, and you feel like you're sitting down a little bit. There we go. There we go.
Not at all.
So do you choke up on your club for a reason, or just because that feels comfortable?
Yeah, so I used to hit it like just like that.
Yeah.
And then I had a lesson with pro a couple weeks back. Choke up a bit just because like I'm a little on the
no
shorter,
worries.
shorter side.
So what I want to get you to do here is so set up to the ball.
So I'm setting up.
Perfect. All right. And then, so we can still choke up on it, but I want to move it a little bit more forward in your stance. So instead of being perfectly just a hair backwards if it was a little bit more lofted, yeah. Awesome, perfect. There we go. Might need another ball.
Just in case you were wondering.
Do you feel like sometimes when you finish you often lose your balance?
Not typically.
Okay, perfect.
I'm a pretty balanced person.
There we go. There we go, perfect.
So the swing, 2 swings ago, I just took the flag, and that was ideal.
That was ideal,
Yeah.
yeah. So remember, we don't want the ball right in the middle. We want it just a little bit further forward, like that. Perfect. Yep. And remember to keep the weight on the balls of your feet. Oh, it's all right.
So I move this back now.
Yeah. So.
Or is that kind of just like a?
That right there on the ball. So I'll let you do one more swing, and then we'll work on the next thing.
There.
Right there. Yep. Feel like you're sitting down a little bit. Perfect. Awesome. That's a good one to end on there. So,
Pretty ideal.
so next we're going to work on kind of that miss of where you seem to kind of fall behind it and hit behind the ball, kind of leading to those chunks.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you a drill here to work on. What we're going to do is I want you to stand with both your feet together, like that, and you can address the ball like you do, and then I want you to take it back and step through as you kind of make impact. That way we're getting all of our weight kind of moving forward and onto our lead foot. Just like that, yeah.
Step through.
Yeah, so step away from the ball and we'll do a practice swing first. So almost like you're playing baseball and you're kind of stepping into that pitch.
So.
Yeah, so except we want to make sure when you do it, so take it back, and as you get to the back, your next move to kind of pull the rest of your body down is to take that step forward. Awesome, just like that, yeah. And see how 100% of your weight's pretty much on that front foot?
Yeah.
That's what we want. So try and, where the ball goes isn't too big of a deal. We're just trying to make sure we get onto that lead foot.
Still.
Yeah.
Crouch,
Oh. That's okay. Here, let's get rid of that alignment stick for now. So almost feel like before you finish taking it back, you're stepping through. So kind of just trying to time that transition. All right, almost there. So just make sure 100% of that weight gets onto that front foot.
100%.
100%.
So I'm like
So when
blending
you're done, I almost want you to be able to lift that back foot up off the ground
Okay.
without going over onto the other side.
Yeah.
Perfect.
How far forward should my foot be? Like if I'm here, should I be stepping like that much or like
Yeah, so it's not,
full lunge?
so almost to the same, so basically if you're standing here like this, then I want that foot almost kind of in that like shoulder width, just outside that shoulder width. Perfect, yeah. So if you almost want to set up, instead of setting up with the ball there, set up with your front foot, kind of.
Front foot on the thing?
Yeah, exactly. So that you're kind of in a little bit more of a natural position there. really feel like you're kind of stepping into it and turning into it. There we go, just like that.
That's great, bud.
Perfect. There we go.
That
All right,
felt
so now,
good, but the ball didn't go.
yeah, no worries. So now try and take some normal swings. Trying to kind of put that feel into a regular swing where you take your normal stance. Oh, that's okay.
So the weight transition there was a little like easier. Like it,
Yeah. Feels like you're getting onto
Yeah.
that side a little bit better.
the ball did not do anything I wanted it to. But
So what that's going to do is when you kind of get your weight going forward more, you're not going to hang back on it and then you try and save it and end up chunking it.
okay.
So same thing, remember weight on the balls of your feet, stance just a hair, perfect, and then ball is just a hair forward center. Awesome, that's perfect.
Pivot either.
That's what's most important.
That's what we're going for right now.
There we go. All right, so one more thing here.
Yeah.
So set up the ball again, tee it up for me. So set up for the regular swing, balls at your feet, perfect. So Charlie, if you notice the shaft of your club when you set up, you've almost got a straight line from the shaft right through your arms like that. I want you to kind of drop that shaft down a little bit, so feel like there's a little bit more of an angle here. So almost feel like you just kind of, you're like this. I want you just to drop your hands a little bit. So instead of being a perfect straight line, yeah, just like that. That's going to also help us get this ball in the air a little bit more.
So just a question.
Yeah.
So when it's like the shaft is on like the ground,
Yep.
drop my
Yeah, that's okay. So basically, that's just gonna if the shaft is more vertical to the ground, that's just gonna kind of take loft off. We want the shaft to kind of, we don't want it to be parallel, but we want it to be more like that angle. You've got it right there, so that it allows the club to kind of sit in a natural position, to like kind of where the standard is there, and that's gonna allow the ball to get up in the air a little bit more because we're not taking loft off of it. Yeah, perfect, just like that. And all this is going to probably feel a little bit weird because you're not used to it. So it'll take a few swings to kind of get a little bit more comfortable with it, and then definitely some practice afterwards.
I'm not getting angry at myself.
That's good.
It's a thing. So should I be up more? I think it feels a little more natural.
Yeah, if you want to kind of rein back on that, I mean, we don't need to choke down. So when you choke down, you're almost down near the shaft.
Yeah.
If you want to move back to maybe only an inch or two, then that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
Kind of just find that spot where you're comfortable there. If you're gonna probably feel like you need to add a little bit of length to the club, just because you're kind of bringing it further as you drop it down, it's gonna come a little bit longer distance from your hands.
Like that?
Yep, perfect. Then make sure we've got our weight on the balls of our feet. There we go. Perfect.
That one really straight.
That's a good one there. So Charlie, when you go on the course, when you're practicing, I want you to kind of have a little bit of a checklist in your head. So almost before every shot, you're going to step up to it. You're going to feel like, make sure weight's on the balls of your feet. That's one check. We're going to make sure we sit down a little bit, get a little bend in our knees. Yeah. And then when we set up, we want to make sure that as we kind of address it, that we're not kind of having that perfectly straight line with our forearms and the club. We want to make sure that sits down a little bit more and we kind of have that little bit of flex in our wrist there.
Okay.
So kind of go through that checklist for me here.
Yeah. Out loud?
Yeah.
Okay. So ball just off center.
Yep.
Balls with feet. Sitting down a little more. Hands drop. Is that a good drop?
Yeah, maybe just a little bit more. Perfect, just right there. Ooh, that's okay.
It happens.
So the reason for this is that if we can make sure that before every shot that we're balanced, we're in the proper posture, everything's in the correct position, it gives us the best chance to make a good swing and get that ball where we're trying to aim it. And before we go there, just make sure we kind of drop those hands a little bit. Yeah, just like that. Perfect. That might be your best swing of the day. Awesome. Alrighty. So you said you also, what other clubs do you tend to struggle with?
4-iron I struggle with a lot.
Okay. And getting it in the air? Or
yeah, like it kind of either like chunks or
okay, so let's grab that club there. And same thing, we're going to make sure we tee it up for this. So as you were talking about kind of having a problem getting your 4-iron in the air, some of the things we worked on there, we want to apply to this. One big thing we're going to change though is the ball position. So we're going to move it so as you set up. I want this to be not quite on the inside of your lead foot, but maybe 2 balls on the inside of your front heel. Yeah. So we can grab this alignment stick again to kind of feel that position. So let's shuffle a little bit back here. Yeah, that's perfect right there. Yeah. Yeah. So you might want your feet to be just a little bit wider here. Awesome. Yeah, just like that. And you're probably going to want to stand just a hair further back. Yeah. Just because it's going to be a little bit longer of a club. So before we go, let's make sure we got weight on the balls of our feet. Awesome. We got a little bit of flex in our knees and we're kind of sitting down. And then big one here is we want to make sure that same thing, we kind of drop the handle of the club. Perfect. Just like that. A little bit more for me. Yeah, right there.
There?
Yep. There we go.
So that was that.
And then just remember that you're getting all that weight onto that front foot.
Still with the higher option club?
Yeah, you want every club we're going to hit, we want to make sure we have all our weight on our front foot. There we go. Perfect. So before you hit this next one, I want you to go through that checklist for me.
Out loud?
Yep.
So
Yep, right there is good. There we go, and then, yeah, perfect. If you want to kind of have an idea, I almost want to have this glove kind of pointing into your belly button instead of kind of up at your shoulders. So I feel like it's kind of, if you were to kind of extend it another 8 inches, it would hit your belly button. Yeah, perfect. Awesome. That's a good one there, Charlie. And kind of remember, balls of our feet, a little bit of flex in knees. Awesome. There we go. One straight. Awesome. So something you can work on when you're practicing and when you're at home is you can kind of make sure you can kind of practice that setup anywhere you are, especially on the range, and you can go through that checklist in your head. And basically, if you check all the boxes before you hit, you know you've kind of done the best you can to set up and hit that shot that you want to hit. Perfect. Oh, that's okay. All right, so one of the last things I want to hit on here with you is alignment. Yeah. So let's try and pick a target for the next few shots. So if you want to step back here and kind of pick a target, and then we can put this alignment stick. Well, first I'm going to get you to set up. And so where do you want to aim?
Are we thinking yellow?
Yeah, let's go over that yellow flag there down the middle. So set up like you're going to, here, let's go back to that 8-iron for this.
Okay.
So if you're going to set up to that yellow flag, what are some things that you kind of do in your head when you set up to that you think will put you online for that? Okay.
Draw that line, and then I line shoulders, and then the club face.
Okay, sounds good. So before you go, so do you feel like right now you're set up to that yellow flag?
Right now I am.
Okay, sounds good. So right now I'm going to put this between on the toes of your feet here, like that. And I want you to step back here, and we'll see where you're aimed. So as you can see, you're aimed a little bit, probably about 50 yards, 40 yards to the right of that flag.
Yeah.
So what we want to do here is we're going to set up. I'm going to put this in line with that yellow flag, just like that. So if we step back here, maybe adjust that a little bit. There we go. So if you look back here, that's on line. So now I want you to set up to that and tell me how that feels. With basically, I don't want you to put your toes on it, but I want you to feel like your toes are an equal distance away from that line there. Yeah.
Just like that?
Yeah. So maybe just a little bit. Yeah, perfect. Just like that. So how's that feel? Does that feel like you're aimed way left?
Yeah, it feels like I'm going right in those stakes.
Okay, sounds good. So basically now you're right on line of that yellow flag that you're swinging at. So now try and take a swing there.
Went right at the yellow flag.
It did go straight, yeah. Perfect, yeah. So same thing here. We want to make sure we're on the balls of our feet. So you're not drop that handle a little bit. Yeah, right there. Okay.
So it's hopped up.
Yep. So just kind of remember, one big thing is just to kind of feel like you're turning through it and you're getting all that weight forward. That's okay. So whenever you're practicing, you can basically put some sort of, like anything, if it's a club, if you have an alignment stick like that, put that on the ground when you're practicing. That way you can see where you're aiming. You have a physical line that you can set up, and you have a kind of something that you can always relate back to. And if you kind of feel like you're ever missing it on one side, if you're ever missing everything to the right, it might not always be something you're doing with the club. It could just be the way that you're setting up. And same thing there, kind of with what we talked about with your posture and everything before we hit a ball. We want to make sure we're aimed correctly, or else even if we hit that perfect shot, it's not going to go where we want it to. Yeah. So same thing, make sure you kind of, there we go, that a little bit of that. Yep. Awesome, that's right at the flag.
I would have won.
Let's do one more here with the alignment stick. Yeah, just same thing. We want to make sure we get all our weight on that front foot. And big thing before you hit, I want you to make sure you kind of feel like, there we go. Well, make sure that you're on the balls of your feet. Got that handle a little bit lower. Awesome, just like that. Oh, all right, we'll make sure we finish here on a good one. So it feels like you kind of are creeping a little bit close to the ball. So kind of make sure when you set up just like that. Yeah, and let's check our ball position. Awesome. Yep, just like that. That's good there, Charlie. And then last thing, kind of basically, if you want to feel like the last thing you do before you hit is kind of drop your hands a little bit to create that angle. That might be a good way to do it. Yeah, just like that. Perfect. All right, so now I'm going to test you. We're going to take this alignment stick away, and now I want you to kind of set up to that yellow flag there like we just were, and let's see how well you do. Now a good idea here is you might want to kind of step back and pick a target maybe within the first 4 feet after that ball that's kind of in line with it, and then you can kind of relate back to that as you set up. So it gives you kind of a point of reference. This is something you can use on the course since you can't really use an alignment date out there. Yeah. Awesome. So before you hit here, I want you to, we'll throw this down. Just like that, you can step back. And from where we started, Charlie, that's pretty good. You're just a hair right of it, so that's not too bad for where we started. Yeah. So same thing here. Let's let you hit one without the alignment stick there. That's all right. So, Charlie, for some things for you to take home, I want you to remember if you ever feel like you're finishing with a little bit too much weight back, we have that drill that we worked on where you can kind of do the step drill, kind of step into it. And then always remember that checklist that we went through. You can kind of go through that whenever you're practicing. And then remember, whenever you're practicing, to always kind of use an alignment aid. That way it's a drill you can always be doing.
And I can just use a club for that?
You can just use a club for that, and that's easy as anything. So, Charlie, that does it for our lesson. Thank you very much.
Have a good one.